I was talking to somebody about how to plan an online class. And so I wanted to provide some basics about that. So you're going to plan a class. You know that it's going to be, let's say, 2 hours. You know there's going to be a 5-minute break in the middle. You figure 5 minutes at the beginning for introductions. Maybe you'll go over, maybe you won't. 5 to 10 minutes about kind of like what to expect and getting to know each other. Figure you'll take the last 10 to 15 minutes for questions. And what I do is I figure out here are, for example, I'm going to teach about writing immersive worlds. And I say, okay, I have three major things I want to talk about. I want to talk about using the senses. I want to talk about using maps. I want to talk about using economics. And so I put them on the paper and I try and figure out some points that I want to talk about, and I don't write out what I'm going to say, but here are the things that I want to cover about that. And I put in a point that says, remember to stop and ask for questions here, make sure that it's clear. And then I try to include an exercise, in class writing exercise, 5 to 10 minutes again. And you get a feel for this after a while, because if you have a lot of people and you're having people share stuff, it's going to take more time. If you have very few people, it's going to take less time. But here's the important thing is I write out my notes, and in my notes it says, okay, you're a half hour into the class, this is where you should be. You're an hour into the class, this is where you should be. And that lets me kind of speed up or slow down, right? That gives me some judge of how fast I'm going, because you don't want to go 20 minutes and be like, holy shit, I've gone through 2 hours worth of material. Nor do you want to go for 2 hours and then go, oh, crud, I only covered a tenth of what I wanted to cover. So figure out what you want to cover and map it out against the time. And that means that like at the 2/3 mark, you're like, oh, holy shit, I'm way behind. I'm going to jettison this writing exercise and this writing exercise. And that's part of the key is always have extra stuff up your sleeve. And I have an advantage because I'm teaching writing, so I can always be like, let's do a timed writing, and that's fine. Hopefully it's more directed than that. But build in time to discuss and ask questions, build in time for exercises, even if it's just a thought exercise where you're like, think for a minute about X or whatever. But you also want to break it up like that, because 2 hours of just you talking at people is going to be a lot less effective than 2 hours of you talking and asking questions and saying, here, let's think about this. So that's how I plan a class. That's the basics. Building in that timetable is, I think, really crucial to management. So that's what I have to say about that. If that was helpful, let me know. If you have other questions about teaching, particularly online teaching, I have a wealth of opinions about that. So if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, that sort of thing. Thanks.